Again, wrapping up this strong. Not just Milwaukee, but the city of Milwaukee with all the events and things I got going on. Of course, how y'all doing this morning? Debo, what it do? Jermaine, what it do? Good morning,
Morning, sir.
gentlemen.
Morning.
Morning, brother.
How was y'all weekends?
Great. And yours?
Yeah, pretty good. In between busy, in between just light. Did the last little movement of fall breaking. Y'all got a lot of trees on your property?
Yeah, man, them leaves, man.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, how was it? Yeah. What?
Oh, it's everywhere.
How was trying to do what they've been suggesting on the news. I see our people really don't have the property and the time and the space to do it, but leaving the leaves out there so it can naturally just soak up for the nature.
Yeah. Uh yeah, I just
You
think
ain't feeling that.
nah, because it makes your lawn look
Yeah.
nasty.
Nasty and
Just ugh.
yeah, I even just don't like with the whole part of get to that time of the year where it's they damp and cold and the
Oh
leaves are
yeah.
thick and they embedded into
Yeah.
the grass so hard
Yeah.
that you just it take you a long to get stuff out. But
Yeah.
yeah, I did a little bit of that at my aunt's on Friday, and then Saturday was pretty chill, just kicked it with family and the folks, and Sunday was just super chill. I was relaxing,
Yeah.
catching that game, and that was a little interesting, man. I don't know what's going on with you boys,
Man,
man.
I know
Everybody
what's
out
going
there.
on.
I
Our offense is
I
trash.
came to the chat or to the DM yesterday. Everybody was, or not the DMs, but the post yesterday. I'm seeing my people's like, oh, he's garbage. He's garbage.
I just think a lot of people give up soon. Like you make one play and then
It's the mental, it's that mental. You
yeah,
know, even though if you've been in the game for
yeah,
years, you still like can get thrown off by that
yeah,
one. Yeah, I
it's
mean, you human, so
yeah,
we see it all the time.
yeah.
You got that one player you're not expecting to be that cold, and he got you
He
locked
got you
down,
locked in.
man. Because I mean, even though you know, um, they was running some decent routes, man. They had the Packers line, they had the Packers number on them routes, man. I was watching them catching them routes,
Yeah, Doc, they was with him.
dude. I was like, yeah, every route. I'm like, yep. I mean,
And on top of that, man, what cats don't understand is when you playing in them elements and you hit that ground,
yeah, oh yeah,
your mindset change. Or you get hit or somebody pop you and you
yeah.
got to come back to the line. Yeah, you thinking different
Things
when you.
get real, huh,
Yeah, Doc. Hey,
man?
Mike Tyson said it best. Everybody got a plan
Yeah,
until you get hit in the mouth,
yeah, yeah,
and once you feel that, ooh, you're like, oh,
yeah,
hold on.
yeah.
You start rethinking.
I'm feeling that. Yeah, you're right. Um, so yeah, those games was cool. I've seen a lot of interesting highlights from just basketball world and the sports world, and everybody was tripping about Stephen Curry wearing the Kobe's this
Yeah,
past
because
weekend.
he
His
left
deal,
Under Armour.
our Under Armour deal, and closed out. So,
Yeah, well, he actually left that deal.
oh, he left the deal.
He
Okay,
left the deal. Now he was originally supposed to sign with Nike,
yeah,
but Nico was the president,
Harrison.
and yeah, he was the president, and he botched Steph's name, and that's why Steph was like, "Nope, I'm not
Nico
putting
ain't gonna
Under
be
Armour."
working nowhere in the entertainment and sports
Yeah,
world because he doesn't have what it's showing me is that he's not a he's not as wise in his
yeah,
choices that he makes when
he's
it
not a
comes to
people person.
picking people.
Yeah,
Nah, I agree. So yeah, that right there shows a lot. Um Steph, man, I always thought he should have been somewhere where he should have got more notoriety, especially during that era. It's like Under Armour just knew they locked him in and kept him, but Nike would have put a whole different
well,
era behind him.
he was going. Nike had the original offer,
Yeah,
but then when Nico botched his name during the introduction and
yeah,
everything like that, he was, oh nah, because Nico didn't respect Stephen Curry.
yeah.
And yeah, that's crazy, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, that was fun basketball news to watch. I mean, it was a lot of interesting news going on this weekend. I know Michelle laid out a lot of the interesting topics this morning. It's a lot of stuff that was going on. But before we get into some of the Jeffrey and the Donald stuff, which we're not going to hit too much of, but we're going to talk about a little bit of it. Wisconsin and Milwaukee political news updates for y'all that via voice radio will be uh, just granting y'all with a little bit. So Wisconsin and Milwaukee tenant fire safety ordinance. I know that's been a big thing, and I would love to hear how you guys feel about that. But as far as that status, it was advanced by Common Council, Public Safety, and Health Committee, November 13th, on A full council vote would be November 25th. So far as the key provisions, it requires landlords of specific multi-unit buildings, 3+ units or 16+ units, 3+ stories, pre-built, built pre-1974 to provide tenants with a separate disclosure on the building's fire alarm sprinkler compliance. So, if you feel like that's a place that you may not want to stay at, with this new, with this possible uh, ordinance or provision that they have saying that anything pre 74, 1974, needs to be some type of alarm or sprinkler compliance. Landlords versus renters, responsibility on safety upgrades and transparency. So I'm gonna know how you guys would feel as far as you know that what you want to see, for our how do you feel for our landlords, and how you feel for the renters. So if y'all want to give me a quick call, let me know about that. So that was another topic that I think is important. It's been a lot of fires, and then that season is coming up, and we see every year, fires that could have been avoided. So I'm just making sure that I know a lot of uh, landlords in the city, and there's a lot of renters, of course, who are taking that safety precaution, or hopefully that future safety precaution serious. Now, another subject that was important, or another thing that was brought to my attention, or to our attention, was just the ICE facility protest this past week. So, protests held over the weekend at the new U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement ICE facility, which is out there on northwest side of Milwaukee, pretty much off of like 100 something, and it'll be north of 100 something, and Good Hope. Tensions, as far as details with that, you got the tensions between federal enforcement and local community opposition to the agency's presence in the city. Now, we've been seeing that, and it's been a big conversation about that location, and them using that location for ICE administration. And anybody that was at that protest, or anybody that may heard about anything about that process, or how it went, please give us a call. Let us know how that went as well. Now, just going over to um, a little more political news. We got the state Democrats introduced a joint resolution for advisory referendum on the November 2026 ballot. Uh, this really must ask voters if they support a U.S. constitutional amendment to overturn Citizens United and limit the influence of corporate and union money in elections, which we see over the years. I remember back in the day, the Koch brothers were always, heavy lobbyists in this mix. And of course, you got different corporate entities on both ends that decide to uh, throw themselves into these elections. It's another good question. How do y'all feel about that? Do you feel that, uh, there needs to be more of a watch, or more reporting of who and what are being involved in these elections? Let us know. Is there too much outside money, or should the state use referendums on national issues? So it's, got some interesting topics and things going on across the state today. I know that everything that we've been seeing this past weekend, whether it's local related, it's a big conversation I've seen with the views of everything that has came out the last week with Trump and his in the files. But just to kind of lightly talk about that area, as far as the Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein, if you didn't hear about it today, the sudden reversal was Sunday night. So the change that had happened, President or Trump abruptly reversed his position late Sunday, urging House Republicans to vote in favor of a measure to release Department of Justice files related to uh, Epstein. Trump's justification is that he claims that the move is necessary because we have nothing to hide and to move on from this Democrat hoax. Now, for his previous stance for months, the administration and key Republican allies had resisted the bipartisan push for the release of these files. So we've been seeing it. We've all seen it. It's been asked, and everything else has been thrown out there. Hey, you don't get those files, but what about the alien files? What about RFK, or RFK Senior? I guess you would say, or hey, Martin Luther King files, or it was just one that they were asking for, or trying to release the other day, or they was putting pressure on a couple of weeks ago, and hadn't had anything to do with what's being requested. But as you can see, this stance has changed, and now he's pushing for this. Some people think it's just because he wants to be able to veto it once he uh, gets into the vote or gets past the vote. So the reversal occurred as a bipartisan group of lawmakers had secured enough signatures on a discharge petition to force a House vote on the Epstein Files Transparency Act as early as Tuesday. This meant the vote was likely to pass with or without his support. As far as other internal GOP conflict, the issue has caused a rift within the Republican Party, as you have seen. Most notably, I think a lot of y'all have seen um, Marjorie Taylor Greene, who was at Poggi, demanded the release of the files, leading to a split from not only the president but that Republican Party as well. So she has even I seen something yesterday that had me laughing. People were like saying that, or she was saying that she came out and said she humbly apologizes, I guess, for her stance, but reading the comments people underneath the comments were like, yeah, we don't trust you. Sit in the back. We got to figure you out first, or welcome back, or whatever the case may be. So you got groups. I guess they're trying to give her a chance because she didn't woke up, but you know, we'll just see. We'll just let her, keep being an advocate for this space, and I'm sure more will come out, especially this coming up December or this December. The shift just came after new, really. A triage of documents that were released by the House Committee or House Oversight Committee, including an email where Epstein allegedly suggested Trump knew about, quote, knew about the girls. Now, was this a reversal, genuine sign of transparency, or a strategic move to get ahead of vote, or was it about to lose and try, or was it about to lose and try to frame the issue as a hoax before the files were made public? Again, I'll say that question one time. Maybe y'all can answer it. Was the reversal a genuine sign of transparency, or a strategic move to get ahead of the vote he was about to lose and try to frame the issue as a hoax before the files were made public? Now, what's next on this is the House expected to vote this week. If it does passes, the Senate will the Senate take it up, and what specific information beyond already public flight logs could be in the DOJ's possession? Now, if y'all do want to call in, got any questions? Is this enough transparency for you, or do you believe the administration is acting fully disclosed, is acting to fully disclose information, or is this another political maneuver to control the narrative? But if y'all got any questions, comments, concerns, let us know. I just want to make sure we got that out for people in the community. Also, I do definitely want to shout out Building Unity, Solomon's Outreach and Urban Learning Center. I think I said that right. Souls with Miss Tynetta, and then again, Building Unity with Tim Cordon. We had an event at the office this past weekend, or excuse me, this past week. Actually, we did the event November 12th at the office. Now, these events are open to the public, y'all. The whole experience, or the thing about this event, was just making sure we bringing out people to speak about what's going on, getting ready for 2026. If you are somebody that just wants to come out, it was a potluck style. Now, everything there, you don't gotta eat, you ain't gotta touch nothing if you don't want to. I think next time we do this, I will be making a dish, but we sat there, we talked about, what's the next steps of just, organizing and people coming together. And what was beautiful about this one was that, we was able to get some of the participants who don't be on this side of the town, which of course where we are at WNOV, but the location where our office at on 27th Street. We were able to get them out there, and we were definitely able to have different viewpoints. Yeah. Okay. Cool. After break. Mm-hmm. Yep. I'm gonna I'll bring you on in right after the break, my brother. Appreciate you. So another like 2-3 minutes or so. But yeah, well, excuse me for that, y'all. We just lining up our guest, Mr. Reno Wright from Hunger Task Force today. But I was just saying all that to say that it was strong support. It wasn't a huge group. I think we had like 15 to 20, maybe at the most 25 at the peak of it. But people were able to come in and express how they see things. We pulled a couple people out of from the suburbs, some white women, white men that came out, and you know, I think I think it was just, you don't know what you don't know, and a lot of that was some of the conversation. Whether it was just I don't want to pay attention to it, or I'm just, you know, just not in the mix. So that was cool. My dream for this, and while we're doing these potluck style get-togethers and unity, is just to make sure that we fill up that whole office, you know, with great people from all age groups and backgrounds. So if you're somebody that's interested in coming out to one of those events, come on out, please. I mean, I'll get you the information for the next one. We would love to, have a fellowship and really strategize, not just coming together just to eat. So if it's something that you're interested in doing, let us know. We'll definitely make sure that we put you in the mix. So outside of that, I definitely want to shout out the crew. Before we go to break, I do want to shout out to our team, Executive Director David Boyne, Lanisha Martin. We'll definitely want to shout out Zoe and Angelique, and of course Nicole, and everybody that is working with Wisconsin Voices in this space. So that'd be a lot of things going into 2026 that we definitely want y'all to tap into, and we're lining in some things up, different campaigns and some hosting some events, just to make sure people are aware and understanding what policies are coming down their way, what's going on anywhere from city hall all the way to the state. So we'll be tapping in with y'all in all those levels. When we get back from break, we'll be bringing on Reno Wright from Hunger Task Force to talk about this policy, what's going on, what has he seen with the SNAP benefits, and some things that we need to be aware of from that angle. So again, you're on Be a Voice Radio, Wisconsin Voices, WNOB 860 AM, 106.5 FM. We'll be right back.
Jackson. Norfolk State University is marking a major milestone this week. The HBCU in Virginia has received a $50 million gift from philanthropist Mackenzie Scott. It's the largest single donation in school's history. Scott, who is the ex-wife of Amazon founder Jeff Bezos, recently gave $63 million to Michigan State University, and this is her first contribution to Norfolk State. Back in 2020, she donated $40 million to the school. Norfolk State says the new 2025 gift will support student scholarships, faculty research and service, athletic, and several strategic initiatives across the institution. Officials say the investment will help expand programs that directly support student success and the long-term goals of the university. The announcement also comes as MSU celebrates 90 years serving Black Americans. For 81 years, I'm Jamie Jackson.
Here's your updated forecast. We'll see increasing clouds today with high in the 40s. Winds out of the northwest around 5 to 7 miles per hour. And for tonight, a chance for some rain showers here with cloudy skies and low around 37. By Tuesday, a chance for rain cloudy at 42 degrees. And Wednesday, most of the cloud high around 45. By Thursday, we'll have a chance for rain showers cloudy high around 51. I mean, just temperature 60 degrees. Remembering what we stand for at Wisconsin Voices, we remember what we stand for. Check out our movement dedicated to empowering citizens and shaping the future. Engage with us on our website, social media, and podcasts to make a difference. Visit wisconsinvoices.org. Explore our events calendar. Like and subscribe to us on social media. Listen to recent podcasts and radio. And subscribe.
Welcome back, y'all. Be a Voice Radio, Wisconsin Voices. Welcome back. Welcome back. Thank y'all for always tuning in. Wisconsin Voices love to make sure that we are giving up to date and just talking to people across the city that are doing great things and also advocating for people in spaces. So today we got our guest online, Mr. Wright. Are you on the line?
I am on the line.
What's going on, sir? How you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
Doing pretty good, pretty good. Thank you, thank you. Happy
Good.
Monday to you. Definitely want to just thank you for coming on Be a Voice Radio, and want to shout out to David for setting up this interview with us for Monday. Good way to start it off with somebody that's out here doing great things in the community.
Absolutely. I appreciate you having me.
Before we get into the questions, of course, I just like to, have a little bio. So I got a little bio here for you. Nothing too crazy, but just, just a little intro. But then we just go in. If you got anything you want to share with the people after I do this little intro, let me know. But we'll get right to the questions. If not,
Okay.
all right.
Sounds good.
Cool. Today on Be a Voice Radio, we're joined by a powerful advocate working on the front lines of hunger and public policy in Wisconsin. Rena Wright is the public policy and advocacy director at Hunger Task Force, Milwaukee's only free and local food bank, and a leading voice for food justice across our state. Reno leads statewide efforts to protect and strengthen programs like Food Share, WIC, and school nutrition, while fighting for policies that ensure every Wisconsin family has access to healthy, affordable food. His work bridges community needs with legislative action, pushing lawmakers to understand the real impacts of hunger, poverty, and inequity on everyday people. With a background in advocacy, community organizing, and policy development, Reno has become a trusted expert on how federal and state decisions shape food access for thousands of Wisconsin residents. His work closely works with partners, local agencies, and families to challenge barriers, promote families, and create long-term solutions to hunger. We're honored to have him on the show today to break down the latest in SNAP and food policy and to talk about what it will take to build a more just and equitable food system right here in Milwaukee. Reno Wright, welcome to Be a Voice Radio.
Thank you so much for having me, Bryan.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, Reno, what's the current landscape of food share in Wisconsin, and what's the trends in what trend is Hunger Task Force seeing in terms of people applying or losing benefits?
Okay, well, thank you for that great introduction. As you said, Hunger Task Force is Wisconsin's free and local food bank, and we're also a public policy organization. So we do advocate for policies at both the state and federal level that help feed people in our communities. As of right now, food share. If people are currently receiving food share, they should have, as of the month of November, received their food share benefits for this month. And I'm sorry, what was the other question you asked?
Oh, and as far as as far as with Hunger Task Force, as far as the benefits, was really just saying what was the current landscape, really. What were the trends is Hunger Task Force seeing in terms of people applying or losing benefits? So yeah, that was pretty much it. You pretty much answered. Like you said, people have got their benefits as of last week, Friday, correct?
As of I believe it was 2 Fridays ago, everybody should have gotten their full November benefits unless they were a new applicant. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we've been hearing about, of course, the delays, renewals, and potential reductions in SNAP, as you've seen, and saying that we're not going to get it. It was a little challenge between Evers and define pretty much what Trump was saying. How are these changes showing up in the community, especially among Milwaukee families? Have you seen? I mean, I guess you could really say the last few weeks. What type of changes have you seen?
Okay, so I will say that prior to the shutdown, I will say that local visits to our pantries were up 35% since the start of the year. Visits to local food pantries actually doubled over the past few weeks during the government shutdown and the delay in SNAP benefits. But I will say, thanks to generous community support, the local network stayed stocked with food and everybody actually received the help that they needed. You talked a little bit about the government shutdown. I will say that because of the government shutdown, Wisconsin and other states have been informed that there were insufficient funds to cover November SNAP or food share benefits for participants. Initially, states were told to inform participants that their benefits would be delayed. Then there were some lawsuits filed, and the judges informed USDA that they could either use like contingency funds to pay out partial SNAP benefits, or they could use what they call transfer authority to temporarily borrow money from other programs and pay out the full benefit amounts. And the USDA initially decided to pay out partial benefits. After that, there was another lawsuit filed. Wisconsin got in on those lawsuits, and the judge actually ordered USDA to pay out full benefits to participants by the end of, I believe it was the first week in November. And Wisconsin was one of the states, along with some other states, that acted quickly and did issue out those full benefits to participants for the month of November. So by now, everybody should have gotten their November benefits. I do want to say the Hunger Task Force wants to applaud Wisconsin DHS for their quick and decisive action, as well as the actions of the governor. Now that the government shutdown is over, at least for now, December food share benefits are going to be issued on schedule. Members can continue to use their Quest cards. And I do want to share that other programs like WIC benefits are currently available as usual. Programs like Badger Care, Medicaid, Senior Care were also not actually directly affected by the shutdown.
Yeah, I like to hear that. I mean that means a lot, man. I mean, just thinking about, I know a big thing was, of course, seeing the kids and a lot of the elders possibly not having food. Was there a is there like a do you see like an uptick in like young adults or Gen Zs who are lacking food, or was it more like a certain demographic that you would see that would go to I guess you said to double up in participation or attendance at these at your food bank? Do you see a lot of the younger adults in this mix that were receiving some type of assistance, or is it certain demographics? And do you guys pay attention to the demographics that come through your food bank?
So we don't have a lot of people come directly to the food bank because we provide as a food bank food to the food pantries in our local network.
Okay.
But as I understand it, it was kind of across the board. There were more seniors, there were more younger folks, there were more people with disabilities, there were more veterans, because everybody was actually affected, especially earlier in this month when there was a lot of uncertainty about whether or not people will receive benefits at all, because that was the initial message that came out from USDA, that benefits would be delayed for an undeterminate amount of time. And then there was that message about the partial benefits. So we knew that people were going to possibly get a portion of their benefits. So during that time, there was just that influx of people from various demographics, I'd say.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right, just a little bit about and I appreciate that as well. Thanks for sharing. So as far as policy changes and the impact, there have been recent policy shifts and tightening of work requirements for certain adults that have been on SNAP. Myself personally, I worked for the food share program in Milwaukee. I worked for both contracts. I'm sure you're familiar because you're deep into it. So I worked for one organization that had the contract about 4 or 5 years ago. They were called ResCare, and they switched over to Bright Spring. Yeah. And then once Bright Spring lost the contract, Maximus picked up, who currently has that food share contract right now. So with the recent, of course, shifts and tightening of work requirements for certain adults on SNAP, how are these policies affecting some of the Milwaukee residents? Have you seen those even in the last 5 or 6 years, or really since Scott Walker implemented this new policy? Have you seen a lot of those? Have you seen a lot of changes or affecting Milwaukee residents?
So I will say this, that USDA did issue guidance for a lot of those changes to be implemented by November 1st. And I will share that people who are currently receiving SNAP or food share should really wait to receive communications from Wisconsin DHS, because they said that they were going to send out letters and emails. So they really should not do anything until they get information from DHS. But yes, we do anticipate that there are going to be a lot of changes. We actually operate 2 food share outreach centers to help people mitigate a lot of these changes that might be happening with their cases. One is on the south side on West Historic Mitchell Street, and the other is on the north side in the Midtown area. And so we have people there who are able to speak up to 10 different languages, so people can get services that they need in the language that they're most comfortable with. And we're also recently partnering with Maximus, that actually operates the food share employment and training program. And we do anticipate that there are going to be some increases in the participation, because some of those major changes with the expanded work requirements are going to now require adults with teenagers to have to meet an 80-hour work requirement per month, as well as adults up to ages 64. Additionally, there have been some changes to the utility deductions, so less people are now going to qualify for those deductions, so less people might be actually eligible for food share prior to some of these changes. I do want to mention that the federal funding for the SNAP education program actually ended, and that program actually taught SNAP eligible individuals how to shop for and prepare healthy and nutritious meals on a budget. Hunger Task Force is continuing to operate our nutrition education program and make our curriculum available to people online. But other changes are going to include requiring states to pay a portion of SNAP benefits for the first time based on error rate. Wisconsin operates a good program, and our error rate has been very low, so we're hopeful that we won't have to pay into that funding. But there are also going to be increased administrative costs for states, so Wisconsin is not going to have to come up with an additional over $30 million per year in order to operate the program. So to answer your initial question, have we seen an initial influx or changes that are directly affecting people in Wisconsin? Not quite yet. However, they should either reach out to DHS or they should wait to make sure that their address and contact information is up to date with DHS, because they are going to be contacting people who are directly affected by some of these changes with HR 1 or the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. So they should be on the lookout for that. The other change that people should be on the lookout for is that now there are also some legal immigrants that are no longer going to be eligible for the program, including refugees, asylees, and other people that are here for humanitarian programs. But again, they should wait to hear from DHS regarding their status and eligibility for the food share program here in Wisconsin.
Okay, yeah, you just pretty much kind of answered one of my next questions for you, but I appreciate that, man. See, I love when I got these interviews where folks is laying it out. I ain't really I'm over here scanning like, okay, where'd I go next? So I think this next question might fit, but thank you for sharing that. And even before we go deep into that, I was listening to you talk about that. So the requirements now are for like the 18 to 64-year-olds, correct? That's the age gap. Or is that the requirement space that we're in still? Because when I worked for the program, it was 18 to 49. Had to show work activities, 20 hours of work activity requirements to maintain their food share. So that's a change. Is now you have to be now anybody between 18 and 64, it has to show those work activity requirements. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. So it then moved from 18 to 54, and now it's going to be 18 to age 64. And these are people who don't have children. Also, people who do have children ages 14 and over are now going to also have to meet those work requirements as well.
Yeah, that's a change in the game, man. I mean, that was my life for like 5.5 years. I did, Reno, just give you a background. I was the guy that you would come into the workshop or to the orientation, and you would meet with me, and I would tell you what you don't want to hear, which is pretty much what you saying. But it was the 18 at the time when I was there. It was 18 to 49. So I'm guessing that 18 to 54. Just man, when did that kick in? Was that the last couple of years or 2-3 years or so?
That kicked in a few years ago, and like I said, just most recently, that 54 age range has jumped up now to age 64 to include seniors. Yeah, actually, seniors who are now eligible to receive Medicaid, our senior stock box program and Medicaid. So yes, seniors are now, unless they meet some sort of unless they're able to be disqualified for some reason or other, they're going to have to meet that work requirement as well.
Well, I guess this kind of does go into my next question I have. So like you said, the state will have to end up absorbing $30 million of to fund for the program. I heard that correct too, right?
Yeah, it's a little bit over $30 million. And right now they are in negotiations to see how that money can actually their budget can actually be increased with the state. So, but that is going to be an additional over $30 million per year in order to operate the program, because previously the federal government shared a 50% responsibility and the states shared a 50% responsibility. After the new changes to the budget reconciliation that happened on the federal level, states now have to cover 75% of those costs, and the federal government is only going to cover 25%. Yeah.
So how can this affect the clients that you serve in this space?
Oh, I mean, there's so many unknowns. Okay. Hopefully, DHS will get the increases that they are requesting. We don't want to look at worst case scenarios, because that could mean changing some of the requirements to make sure that DHS is able to still operate the program. So we want to make sure that as many people as possible who need access to these services still have access to these services, because we know that about 700,000 people in Wisconsin actually rely on these food share benefits. And we know that SNAP is the number one way to fight hunger in our country. So we want to make sure that people don't lose access to the benefits that they need throughout Wisconsin.
Hey man, I hear that. Yeah, I mean, it was. I mean, I worked, like I said, I was on the other end of it, but when you look at how beneficial this program was and how beneficial this program is for the state, any space, any of these programs that are helping people less worry about food and worry more about getting to the next level of success and taking care of their family. I'm always with when it's in a good hearted space. One thing I always liked about it, and I know you said that you got nutritional programs, education nutritional programs. But one of the things that always was a I guess a lovely piece to the food share programs and SNAP programs was the trainings that they offer, man. I don't know how much or how that will change. Have you heard or anything? I know that's really not your space as far as the training programs, but I'm sure you know about that. Have they talked about changing or getting rid of some of the training programs that they do allow underneath the SNAP benefits? Like, if you go through the program and you keep your food share, you're still able to go get, a CDL training or forklift training or entry level IT, or those are some of the things that we were offering, even at one point, nail tech programs. Have you heard anything about programs that or that part of the program being affected?
So I will say that as far as I know, the Food Share Employment and Training Program, or FSET, in Wisconsin has not changed. So all of those services are still going to be available. And I'm actually very familiar with those services because
Okay.
before working for Hunger Task Force, I did work for an organization that operated a work program for people who were on Wisconsin Works or W-2. So I'm very familiar with the work program side of things as it
Okay.
pertains to food share. Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah. I think that right there helped shape a lot of lives. I seen a lot of lives change off of that. Right
Yeah.
along, the CDLs. I mean, I had guys that were getting their passenger driver's license did 10, 15, 20 years and were opening up limousine companies and cats opening up construction services. And shout out to Rodney. I'm going to say his last name, but shout out to Rodney. He got situated with his construction business after doing some time. And, it's so many great people that I met through that program that are doing great things now. So I think that's just alongside of course, helping feed people, but getting people back out there too. So,
Yeah.
thank you for that too. Sars, what is Hunger Task Force hearing directly? And I guess we kind of talked about this a little bit, but what are you hearing directly from families about what the changes, or what are you hearing from within the food insecurities, securities from day to day people that you're talking to? Could you share any of the conversations that you've been having the last few weeks?
As far as the changes to the food share program?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, not the food share program, but just the Hunger Tech, the program, or I guess you say within the program, lack of services, or some of the how it's changed some of the everyday people in Milwaukee. I guess I'm just really just curious to hear some of the conversations, or maybe some of the things that you or your team have been hearing from people during the last few weeks.
Well, I mean, people were very concerned because, again, there was a lot of uncertainty. It's during the holiday season, so it was a very bad time for a government shutdown, but also for people not to know whether or not they were going to be able to afford food to be able to feed their families. We have, again, I said earlier that throughout our pantry network, that traffic doubled, so we were concerned that people that the need that was great might not be able to be met. But again, thanks to that generous community support, people were actually able to meet that need. I know that there is some additional concern about what could happen at the federal level, because even though the shutdown ended, I think people should know kind of a little. I want to just share, if you don't mind, a little bit about how what's going on at the federal level.
Of course.
So Congress did vote last week to enact what's called a continuing resolution that reopened the federal government. And so this resolution actually funds most federal operations through January 30th of next year. And to prevent another shutdown, Congress actually has to pass either another temporary measure like a continuing resolution, or they have to pass a full year appropriations bill before January 30th. Otherwise, there could be another government shutdown that could affect some federal programming. I do want to say that if there is another government shutdown, and this is something that people have been really concerned about, I do want to say that SNAP and other federal nutrition programs would continue to remain funded through September 30th of next year. And this is because USDA, which administers these programs, was included in a three
Testing, testing.
bill full, yep,
Oh, I'm
a
sorry. I'm
three
sorry.
year, yep. Can you hear me?
I just wanted to make sure you was coming in clear.
Okay, yeah. So USDA, which administers these programs, was included in a 3-year, full-year spending package that was finalized in D.C. last week. So even though there could potentially be another shutdown if decisions are made by January 30th, programs like SNAP or Food Share, WIC, child nutrition programs are all going to continue to be funded because there was a deal that was reached last week
Yeah.
to make sure that those programs are going to be funded. So there was a lot of concern for people to say, well, if there's another shutdown, this could happen again. It can happen again, but it won't affect food share benefits.
Okay, cool. Appreciate that. Yes. So people, listen up. Listen, we got Reno Wright on the line. Reno, we're gonna take a quick break, just a quick commercial break, and we're gonna come back to you just with a few more questions. And just, if I got any questions, I see we had a caller on the line. If I got any questions for Reno, please give us a call, 414-444-5253, 5250. I seen that caller. Hope you got a great question for Reno, and we'll take this break. We'll be right back. Be a Voice Radio, Wisconsin Voices, WNOV, 860 AM, 106.5 FM.
I'm Jim Jackson. University is marking a major milestone this week. The HBCU in Virginia has received a $50 million gift from philanthropist Mackenzie Scott. It's the largest single donation in school's history. Scott, who is the ex-wife of Amazon founder Jeff Bezos, recently gave $63 million to Morgan State University, and this isn't her first contribution to Norfolk State. Back in 2020, she donated $40 million to the school. Norfolk State says the new 2025 gift will support student scholarships, faculty research and service, athletics, and several strategic initiatives.
Welcome back to Be a Voice Radio, Wisconsin Voices. We are here with a advocate for the community, Mr. Reno Wright. On the phone, you still there, sir?
I'm still here.
All right, thank you for your time again. We definitely appreciate it. So, just going back into some more of the conversation, we've been sitting here talking about just Hunger Task Force policy advocacy, and everybody who is just tuning in. We're just getting the heads up of what's going on across the city and across the state when it comes to uh, making sure people are getting what they need to nutritionally get what they need to get to eat, and being aware of what's going on with the changes, as we are all pretty much in this all together in some space or another. So I know you're talking about legislative efforts, and we were going to that. Is As far as specific legislative efforts, state or federal, I know you talked about some. Is there any other Hunger Task Force things that Hunger Task Force is monitoring right now? Because, well, going back, the Hunger Task Force is monitoring right now because they could significantly affect food access. Is there any others legislative efforts that you've seen, or anything else that the people should know that could affect what you outside of what you've mentioned so far?
So I do want to say that there are some national efforts underway to repeal a lot of the changes that were made during the budget reconciliation bill to SNAP, or food sharing in Wisconsin. So there is a bill that is being introduced called the Restoring Food for American Families and Farmers Act of 2025. And this bill will actually repeal a lot of those changes that were implemented as a result of HR 1, or this One Big Beautiful Bill Act. So that is something that people definitely need to be aware of. And one way people can make sure that they're aware of things that happen at both the local, state, and federal level is to join our citizen advocacy group called Voices Against Hunger. If people go to our website at hungertaskforce.org and click on the advocacy tab, they can access Voices Against Hunger. And what we do is we send out monthly information to let people know what's going on at the federal and state level regarding nutrition programs and policy. And when necessary, we call on people to send an email to their legislators asking them to support policies that strengthen these programs. And again, if anybody wants to join, they can go to hungertaskforce.org, sign up on our advocacy page. And most of our advocacy campaigns are very easy to participate in, and it takes less than a minute for them to participate. But yeah, I mean, recently we've done things like we were advocating for USDA to actually use their transfer authority and access those contingency funds to make sure that people receive full benefits. And I believe that those efforts, along with the efforts from the lawsuits that took place, actually kind of helped to make that happen.
Mm, thank you. I appreciate that. What solutions would make the biggest difference for families facing food insecurities right now? You mentioned some of those. Would it just be what you mentioned earlier with just the vote for next month, or the upcoming votes? Would those be the biggest winners as far as just making sure those funds are secured, or is it something else that um, can make a big
So I
difference?
would. So I will say that funding for federal nutrition programs is pretty much secure for the next year.
Okay.
Just really quickly, the new spending bill that was agreed upon last week does include some modest increases for some nutrition programs like WIC, child nutrition programs, the commodity supplemental food program, which we call Stock Box in Wisconsin, which is the program for seniors,
Okay.
the emergency food assistance program, which is the food that goes directly into the local food pantries, did maintain the same admin funding to operate the program, but it's also going to have some modest increases in money that can be spent on food in the upcoming year.
Mhm.
There are some cuts in the SNAP funding, so that's why there will be some efforts at the federal level, and of course, statewide advocates are going to be called on to advocate along with us statewide to see if we can repeal some of those changes that occurred with SNAP.
All right. Thank you. With that being said, what do you want policymakers to understand about the connection between SNAP access and demand for these food emergencies?
Um, we believe that everybody has access or should have access to healthy and nutritious food with dignity. And these federal nutrition programs, especially for the most vulnerable people in our society, is the best way to make that happen. So we want to make sure at the federal level that these programs are funded so that everybody can have access to these programs who need these programs for temporarily or even people who might need them long term, for people who might have disabilities, for example, or seniors in our community. We also want to make sure that if there are changes at the federal level that impact us at the state level, that there are state programs and policies that are enacted that are able to help to supplement that, to make sure that no Wisconsinite actually goes hungry, especially during these cold winter months when there are
Mhm.
rising costs in utilities. We know that there's going to be some changes to Medicaid and Medicare. That's not my space, but there are some healthcare changes that are taking place. But with all these changes, we want to make sure that everybody can have access to food, because we want to make sure that our neighbors can eat.
Yeah, yeah, it's big. I mean, we talk about it, and I was just, even just mentioning with one of my people that work and do one of my closest friends, like my brother, he do renovations and go into a lot of these spaces, and him and another one of my close guys that work in this space, and just they talk about going into some of these houses across Milwaukee, and you know not only they're lacking some of the basics when it comes to living conditions, but the access to food in certain spaces it can be is really scarce. As we see across Milwaukee, a lot of the grocery stores, and I just had this thought the other night when I was just riding through the city. I'm like, man, you can go to so many cities across our country, and you can see where these food deserts and these grocery stores that used to be there aren't there anymore. But on the flip side, you go to some of these cities across the country and you see grocery stores just in every location, primarily, of course, when you start seeing it in these suburban areas. What what type of result, or what could we do to increase or bring back, from your point of view, more food options outside of the food banks to our city? Grocery stores. Is there, do you see a future of more stores and grocery stores coming in, or do you see like everything now will have to be, especially for the city of Milwaukee, primarily ran by organizations or local individuals having to create more food banks and grocery stores for our city?
That's kind of hard, especially considering we do know that several grocery stores did just close.
Yeah.
I do want to say that Hunger Task Force does partner with a local grocer here to operate a mobile market.
Okay.
And the mobile market is a one-aisle grocery store on wheels, and it goes into food deserts in Milwaukee County, the Milwaukee County area, 5 days a week. People can shop on this mobile market at a discounted rate, and Hunger Task Force actually covers the remainder of the cost for that grocery store. And so, if people are interested in where the mobile market is going to be on any given day, they can go to our website, access a map that is updated monthly. We also have our stock box program that provides it's a monthly food box to seniors that are ages 60 and over. And if somebody contacts Hunger Task Force, we can tell them how they can become a part of that program. And if a senior can't get access to one of the distribution locations, we also partner with DoorDash, and DoorDash will actually deliver that box directly to the senior's home. So there are some other things that are going on out there that people can be involved in to help them get access to food. At the state level, I think our state legislators can do similar to what they did in this past state budget, and support local food purchasing programs so that our farmers can benefit, our local producers can benefit, and people who need access to food can get locally grown food here in Wisconsin, and that food is going to be distributed to food pantries. So one of the best things that people can do is to um, advocate again for these state level programs, for these federal level programs. I do want to talk a little bit about, if you don't mind. Right
Mhm.
now we're in the middle of our annual Food for Families drive,
Okay.
and this is a drive that goes from October through December of each year. And during this drive, we invite individuals and organizations to volunteer, to donate, or to host an in person or virtual food drive to help feed families during this holiday season. And more information can be found on our website at hungertaskforce.org. There's also a Thanksgiving drive through food drive that's happening this Friday. It's being hosted by CBS 58 and the Milwaukee Brewers and Hunger Task Force. And people are invited to come out to American Family Field on Friday to donate frozen turkeys, other food items from 5 a.m. until 5 p.m. And I believe there's also going to be some giveaways of some Brewers game tickets while supplies last. So these are just some other ways that people can help folks in their community get access to food during this time.
All right, thank you. I appreciate that. And one more question for you, and that's good. That's good information right there, because we definitely like folks that like to stick up and stand up and get out here. Real quick before we get up out of here, this question just quick closer for you. What does food equity look like in your vision for Milwaukee's future?
Making sure that every Milwaukee resident, Wisconsin resident have access to healthy and nutritious food with dignity and whatever that dignity looks like for them. Just making sure that nobody goes hungry. We're talking about children, seniors, veterans, people with disabilities, even working families, sometimes called the working poor. Just making sure that they have access to the food that they need through these federally funded programs, through these local initiatives, and through the programs we offer here at Hunger Task Force. Just making sure that everybody can access food.
All right, well, thank you. We appreciate that. That was Mr. Reno Wright from Hunger Task Force. He's blessed us with a great interview. Got anything else for us? We got 30 seconds.
Just if anybody wants to learn more about Hunger Task Force, go to www.hungertaskforce.org, and you can learn about the work that we do in our community. And I just want to thank all the 16,000 volunteers who make the work that we do at Hunger Task Force happen.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Again, sir, thank you so much. I appreciate that. We'll definitely be in contact. Hopefully next time we can get you into the studio or get you out to one of our events. Other than that, have a great day. Have a great week, Mr. Wright.
Thank you. You as well.
Thank you. All right, y'all. Be a Voice Radio, Wisconsin Voices. We're wrapping it up. Bryan Sanders here, community outreach organizer. I hope y'all have a great day. Have a great rest of your Monday, and we'll see y'all tomorrow with a great show. Peace.